Alrighty, it's Marty Duda here at Austin City Limits Day 3, and I'm with Shane Smith of Shane Smith and the Saints.
How's it going?
An hour ago, you just finished your set here, which was like the first thing of the day.
Right.
And you guys are an Austin-based band anyway. Is this your first time playing the Austin City Limits Festival?
Yes, sir, it is.
So is this kind of like a rite of passage for a band to do this? What does it mean to you guys?
I mean, it means the world to us. Like, if there was one festival that we could be a part of, especially at the level that we're currently at right now, if there was one that we could choose, it would be Austin City Limits. I mean, I've come to this festival just as a spectator for several years, and I love this festival. It's local to the town that we're based in, and it just means a lot to be on the festival, especially with Mumford & Sons and Chris Stapleton headlining the night that we're playing. Is a great combination of music for our sound. So
yeah,
it was
now,
awesome.
Speaking of your sound, a lot of New Zealanders won't be familiar with you guys, so maybe you can just give them an idea of what it is you think that you're doing musically.
I mean, it's just most people in blogs and stuff, whenever they talk about it, they talk about a combination of like a roots, Americana, Celtic, with Cajun type of sound, and so it's roots music, it's folk rock, but there's definitely there's an element of like Cajun, Creole sound to it with Bennett, our fiddle player, and also a big element of Celtic, with like Irish almost sounding music.
I noticed that in kind of Appalachian and a little bit of zydeko in there as well.
Yeah.
Where does that stuff come from? Is it just from being here? That you kind of
it's the stuff we're into. It's the stuff that all of us feel moved by. That's the type of music and we listen to all types of stuff, but it just seems to work for what we're going for, and Bennett's a huge contributor to that. Our fiddle player, he's the person that I've pretty much started everything with, and his style is just completely unique as a fiddle player, and that adds those elements to our sound for sure, along with rhythms and stuff like that. But the big thing that we've been really trying to push for our sound, though, is also it's a 4-part harmony thing with all the guys, and that's kind of new for us. I mean, it's been about the last 2 years that we've really been pushing it with our newest record, Geronimo, which that's a sampler of it, but same cover. Yeah.
Very good.
But that's the first time that we were really able to showcase those harmonies on a record, and but it's been really cool this year.
And I noticed that you closed out your set with the Eagles.
Yeah, this is actually our second time to ever do it, and it's a lot of fun, and we had an extra 5 minutes.
Right.
We're like, hell with it. Let's have some fun with it. So, and everybody really, it seemed like they really enjoyed it. So it was cool.
Excellent. Now I was hoping to talk to you a little bit about some of the songs on Geronimo. And I don't know if the song about New Orleans that you performed, the set is on the record or
yes,
not.
It is.
It is. And you had a little story that you were telling about when you had just been in New Orleans and kind of how that all came together. Maybe you could tell folks about that.
Definitely. Well, I mean, New Orleans is a city that we've just recently started to get to tour, but we've been familiar with it for years, and I love the city. I had written the lyrics for that song a while ago, and we finally finished it up in the process of that album being finished. And in New Orleans, there's a square called the Congo Square that, starting in the late 1700s, slaves would meet there every Sunday, like on, they were allowed like Sundays off, essentially, most of them, and anyways, they would meet out there and just have a huge drum circle. And I think there's actually tribes, because there were different tribes in Africa from all over the place, and that spoke different languages and had their completely separate cultures from one another. And I think that the Congo Square had a huge element of unifying everybody, and with rhythm and with music, which they were all completely on the same page with, I think. And they would come out there and trade and socialize, and they would just have a huge drum circle, and there would be up to 700 slaves at one time, just playing music together. And still today on Sundays, musicians meet up. A lot of them, with ancestors that were probably originally doing that 100 years ago, and and so every Sunday they still meet up and have a drum circle or a jam type session.
Right.
And when we played there on our last show, it was on a Saturday night. We got up Sunday, went to the Congo Square, and they were jamming. So we played in with them and got to play that song, and they got to hear the lyrics about it, and it was cool.
And not to get too heavy with you, but I'm wondering, I mean, obviously it's an interesting history story and lesson and stuff that happened 200 and some years ago. Why does that still resonate? Why is it important, and why does it translate so well to music now?
I mean, I think it's, there's countless amounts of stories that need to be told like that, and I think that's one of them. And I love trying to tell stories through music and through the lyrics, and
right.
And that's a big thing for us. Is we don't necessarily want to put out stuff that we'll regret one day, and that's a really, I think it's a respectable story, and it's not a catchy hook just to get stuck in people's head. We're just trying to make stuff that we won't regret when we're older, and I think that it's a cool song, and it came out well, and everybody's responded to it really well.
And the album is called Geronimo.
Yes, sir.
And again, for New Zealanders, they may not know who Geronimo was. It's just a thing that you say when you're jumping out into the abyss or whatever. Maybe you can give a little background for folks as to why you decided to talk about it.
I mean, Geronimo is, the historical figure. Geronimo was an Apache warrior, and all like through the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, West Texas, like in that area is where he lived the majority of his life, and he developed that name, and that name developed into a term, for a relentless, a not turning back, we're going head first into this type of statement. Geronimo, it's a statement you yell jumping from a cliff, and it resonated really well for us and where we were in our careers. We wanted to try to jump out and put out a record that really made a statement for what we're trying to do. And like I said, that kind of introduced the 4-part harmony thing.
Right.
It introduced all the different elements of sound that we're trying to combine. And plus I just wanted to pay tribute to Geronimo as a person and what he stood for, and just out of respect for him and all Native Americans, and what they've had to deal with. So.
And I understand you guys have started to perform outside of the United States as well. Mm-hmm. How does the stuff translate overseas?
I mean, well, we haven't necessarily done it enough to really have a hard answer on that, but everywhere we've played this year has been really cool. We've gotten really good responses at every single show, and I can honestly say that. And I think a huge reason for that is just the effort that we put out on stage. There's not a single show where we're not just sweating our butts off,
right.
and we're, when we're singing about something we believe in. We're all in on it. We're behind it, and I think that cuts through to the fans that are in the audience, and they're like, man, if nothing else, if they don't listen to that type of music whatsoever, they're still like, dude, those guys are putting it out there. So I think that's another reason for why it's been a really successful year.
Cool. Well, hopefully you can make your way down south in our part of the world at some point.
And I would love to. I would absolutely love to.
Because you fit it right in. Maybe next year's Americana Fest you can be there.
Wonderful.
All
Wonderful.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.